I'm actually gonna start crying. Wait. I have to be at work in 30 minutes. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to make it look presentable.
I hate my real hair, and I hate that I hate my real hair. And I hate the fact that I don't feel confident with my real hair, the hair that grows out of my head that God gave me, but I just don't. I don't.
So I don't like my fussy hair. And the reason why I don't like my fussy hair is because it's very hard to style and it's very hard to care. And I know I'm probably gonna get hate for this, but I know a lot of black women feel the same way.
Coily, dense, bushy, interwoven. For generations, those words were used to mock and belittle the natural texture of black hair. Yet, hidden within the world's most read and best-selling book, the Bible, those same descriptors appear to be a part of sacred text. The Bible is often perceived as just another religious book, but it has shaped languages, laws, and civilizations for thousands of years. And within those pages are not only parables and prophecies, but descriptions. Physical, detailed, unmistakable descriptions of the people themselves. Although many other attributes could be investigated, the aspect focused on in this video is the hair. When examined in its original Hebrew, a language built on vivid detail, the portrayal of hair in the scriptures become pretty clear. Thick, coarse, dark, and full, growing upward, not downward. In our previous investigation, the evidence pointed to one conclusion: that of all the nations on earth, only one group of people possesses hair that matches every single description found in those ancient texts: the tightly coiled crowns of African people and their descendants. But the deeper we looked, the harder it became to dismiss the parallels that followed. The way Rastafarians wear their hair, long, uncut, consecrated, mirrors a Nazirite vow written thousands of years ago. The way enslaved Africans had their heads shaved in captivity echoes the very punishments recorded in scriptures, acts meant to strip identity and dignity. Even the scalp sores, baldness, and hair loss that afflict so many of us today recall the same conditions once described among the people of Israel. These patterns didn't feel like coincidence. They felt connected. Cultural, historical, and spiritual threads woven through time. But an informed people don't just jump to conclusions without proper research. Which brings us to the question that this investigation must answer. If the physical descriptions already align, could the experiences tied to that same hair, its customs, its struggles, and even its punishments, also mirror the story written in scripture? Because when a pattern repeats itself across language, history, and lived experiences, that's no longer coincidence. It's evidence. Let's investigate. Hair, but not just any hair. Strands twisted and matted into rope-like cords, commonly known today as locks or dreadlocks. The sight of them divides opinion. To some, rebellion. To others, reverence. Yet, long before they were a symbol of resistance, they were a sign of separation. In number 6, the Nazirite vow commanded that no razor shall touch his head. He shall be holy, letting the locks of his hair grow. In ancient Israel, uncut hair wasn't a trend. It was covenant, one of the most visible mark of dedication to the Most High. Centuries later, something strange happened. That same custom, it would appear, but among the descendants of those scattered through the transatlantic slave trade, the Rastafarians. Their hair, worn uncut and bound into long strands, symbolized rejection of the world system they call Babylon and allegiance to divine law. This, paired with strict dietary routines and lifestyle, definitely set them apart. Many within the movement trace their lineage to the nation of Israel, and specifically to the tribe of Judah. That is the same tribe tied to leadership in biblical texts. And of course, the Jamaican as well as the Rastafarian culture is probably one of the most influential in the Caribbean. Anthropologists like Barry Shavans and N.S.B. Edmonds have documented how early Rastafari teachings drew directly from the Nazarite vow. Uncut hair as a living symbol of holiness and separation. Across Africa, echoes of that same principle still endure. In West Africa, among the Yoruba and Fon, children born naturally with locked hair called Dada are believed to carry spiritual purpose. Their hair is never cut without ritual, for to do so carelessly is to disrupt their divine calling. Parallels to the story of Samson. In East Africa, Maasai warriors grow their hair long and braid it with red ochre throughout their warriorhood, shaving it only after a sacred rite of passage. Though their customs differ, the core belief remains the same. Hair carries meaning. It is grown with intent and cut with ceremony. Now, of course, other nations have also practiced keeping their hair long and uncut. Hindu ascetics in India, Sikh devotees in Punjab, and even certain native tribes of the Americas. But when we compare the physical descriptions found in ancient Hebrew texts, which we did in part 1, hair described as bushy, coarse, and densely coiled, those traits align not with these populations, but with only one group. Their customs may share the practice of growing long hair, but the appearance, meaning, and context differ entirely. From the Nazarites of scripture to the Dada children of West Africa to the Rastafarians of the diaspora, the thread remains unbroken. Hair as covenant, hair as calling, and hair as identity. These patterns are observable and verifiable, and if the same people whose hair fits the biblical description still practice the same sacred relationships with it today, then the continuity is clear. They were stripped of everything, even their hair. The same hair that once marked covenant and strength became a tool of humiliation and control. In the Old Testament, shaving the head often represented disgrace or judgment. Isaiah 7:20 speaks of heads being shaven as a sign of conquest. Ezekiel 5 describes the prophet shaving his head, dividing it as a symbol of destruction and exile. Centuries later, during the transatlantic slave trade, the same act reappeared, not in Jerusalem, but on the shores of West Africa. Captives had their heads shaven before boarding ships, erasing tribal and spiritual identity. What scripture recorded as punishment was repeated in history as policy. Now, is there any other nation or any other population that has this shared experience? No, at least none that was found at the time this video was made. In fact, other cultures' heads being shaved is cultural. For example, in India, Hindu devotees shave their heads as an offering of sacrifice, believing that by giving up their hair, they will receive a blessing in return. Entire industries have actually grown from this practice, and ironically, much of that hair ends up on the very heads of black women and men through lace front wigs and extensions. The same act that symbolized humiliation for one people, black people or people of melanin, became a ritual and devotion for another. And here's the irony. Even after all this time, many of the products that we actually still use today, the braiding hair, the relaxers, the shampoos, are created by other nations, often using toxic ingredients that damage our hair and our health. Considering all this history, it's refreshing to see products that are made for us, by us, and with integrity. That's why I'm super excited to share with you today's sponsor, Loclicious. Loclicious is a Black-owned brand that is built on natural plant-based ingredients specifically for textured hair. I have been using their products for approximately 5 to 6 months now, and it has been doing wonders for my hair. I'm personally using their Black Soap Bundle for my microlocks, and it's one of the few products that keeps my scalp balanced. It is light on the hair, it smells good, and I have no need or desire to find the DIY solutions or alternatives. What I really love about them is that there is no hidden ingredients, there is no fine print, everything is clear, and it is 100% natural. It's just the full package. One product that definitely deserves an honorable mention is their 100% pure botana oil made in Honduras. It's sustainably harvested, completely unrefined, and free of every artificial additive. My first time hearing about botana oil was through its association with Dr. Sebi and the way it was praised for restoring the health and appearance of the hair, the scalp, and even the skin. So seeing it here in its authentic, unadulterated form immediately caught my attention. And you know something is truly good when it works effortlessly on both your hair and your skin. Botana oil has a long history of use in natural hair care, and Loclicious offers it in its most authentic, its most pure state. If you are a natural or if you are on your natural hair journey and simply looking for a healthier alternative and a healthier routine, be sure to check out loclicious.com. I will link their information in the description box below. Check them out because I'm sure that they will have something that you will love. Thank you, Loclicious, for sponsoring this video. Therefore, the Lord will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will discover their secret parts. Isaiah 3:17. Now that verse describes physical afflictions, sores, baldness, loss of beauty, and when we trace history, the parallels are eerie. They are difficult to ignore. Before slavery, African women were known and were identified with or for their elaborate hairstyles, braids and curls and twists and locks shaped with cultural and spiritual meaning. But in captivity, heads were shaven, and in the unhygienic conditions of slave ships and plantations, scalp sores, baldness, and infections became common. Centuries later, we see the same pattern continue, but this time through our own hands. Relaxers, tight wigs, synthetic hair that has mad harmful chemicals that burn our scalp, itch, thin our roots, take our edges. We see baldness among men, alopecia among women, and the loop seems to continue. The same pattern, from judgment to survival, from survival to self-destruction, can only change when we actually decide to finally, consciously break it. If the physical traits, customs, and punishments all align, then the question becomes, why does this pattern follow one people and one people alone? Throughout history, the descendants of those same people have continued a cycle of assimilation and rejection, burning, covering, and altering the very hair that once symbolized covenant, the very hair that is different from any other nation in existence. Scripture records how ancient Israelites were commanded to remain distinct, yet repeatedly observed the practices of surrounding nations. Each time, the result was the same: loss of identity and consequence. Today, that pattern continues. No one forces us to straighten our hair or to put on a lace front wig, but generations of conditioning have made us believe that what grows naturally must still be changed or hidden. We wear the hair of others, chemically burn our scalps, and reject the texture written in our DNA. Whether or not you see the parallels or you perceive them to be literal, the message is the same. When people abandon what sets them apart, they lose more than just tradition. They lose themselves. They lose their identity. They lose a level of confidence and assurance that comes with knowing that history. And what is even more interesting is that with certain actions constantly being replicated, what you find is that it causes an epigenetic imprint on our DNA that causes these actions to be automatic, causes these actions to become our default. And perhaps that is the state that we're in today. Perhaps we're doing these things without consciously knowing. But in the era of technology, in the era where information is just accessible everywhere we turn, could that still be our excuse? Can we still use that as our excuse that, well, we don't know? Or that we just like it this way? Now, if this story isn't about us, then we can certainly use it as a cautionary tale of what happens to people when they forget who they are. History doesn't always hide in history books. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, in the way we look, in the way we live, and in the stories we were told to forget. Whether this is coincidence or confirmation, that's ultimately up for you to decide. But I laid it all out. The evidence is there. And if patterns this clear have survived, maybe it's worth asking what else has. The rabbit hole definitely goes deep with this one, but I'm not here to persuade you. I'm here to document the truth piece by piece. Because in the end, history always leaves an echo. This is Melanin Archives. Thank you for tuning in. Look out for more. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. That really helps the channel, and be sure to share it if you learned anything new, if you found anything interesting. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Shalom, shalom, and most importantly, shalom.
I cut off my hair and I wasn't ready for how hard it would hit. They say hair holds memories, so to close out my early 20s, I chose to let those memories go. It brought up so much for me, which I guess was the point. I felt the loss, I felt the fear, but I wanted to see the inward changes I'd been making reflected outwardly. Growing up, I always heard the backhanded compliment that despite having 4C hair, my hair was good hair, thick but manageable. And as a Black woman, they say our hair is our crown, but we know that how people treat us changes with each style that we have. So I wondered who I'd be without it and what narratives would be put on me. There was also the small matter of my vanity, my relationship with my masculine. Was my femininity under attack here? Was it so fragile as to be inherently linked to the length of my hair? And did I even have the features to pull this off? My goodness, what if I was ugly? And then I did it, and I cried a lot. What a privilege. And over the weeks, the fears softened, the doubt melted. I started to feel like I really saw myself, saw my face, no hiding, just me. So I guess this is a soft reset, a rebuilding of self-perception. Hello, you. It's so good to see you like this.